Hi, my name is Grace. So this is the end of canvassing at week 2, the end of week 2, and I just want to let you know how much God really blessed me in my canvassing experience. So to rewind a little bit, this is the day before canvassing, and we're getting, I guess, a last bit of training from the speaker. His name is Tim Bailey, and what I've learned from that was human effort plus divine power equals true success. And I was ready to hit the field, and for my first week, I did terrible. And I wasn't getting as much books out and or donations, and I prayed for God to like help me to get these books out, and Tim Bailey and everybody said to have pray about something big. So I prayed, God, I need you to do something big or a big amount. I don't know, Lord, but do something big for me. However, even when I tried doing my best and I'm praying hard, especially when I'm on the field and outside of the field, it felt like the results weren't coming. Deep down in my heart, I felt like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I'm doing everything that I possibly can. I never tried anything so hard in my life. And I was like, well, I guess today's just one bad day, but all I could do is just keep doing my best and keep relying on God, because I know Satan, he wants me to feel bad for myself. He wants me to feel discouraged. He wants me to feel like that God's work of canvassing means nothing to these people. And so the next day came. I wasn't really expecting much for the next day. I was like, same old, most likely. But then I went out on the field and I met this guy named Joe, and I just talked about everything that I learned. Even God gave me the opportunity to talk about what I read in the Great Controversy, and like this guy, he seemed to love it, but at the moment he's like, man, I don't really want to get a book right now. And I was like, no worries, and I just wanted to be persistent, so I just dropped down with a hope and happiness. I was like, this is a little pick me up, and whatever you give, it just helps me to go to school. And he's like, all right, kid, I got something. So while he was going to get his donation, I was just praying like, Lord, please, I really want to leave him with the Great Controversy, and I just please let him be able to donate the amount enough to get the Great Controversy out. And honestly, like, he gave out more than was needed, and I was like, oh my goodness. And I was like, hey Joe, you have to take this book, like, you're gonna really enjoy it, and it's gonna really bless like your life. And he did take it, and I was like super pumped up, and I was like, wow, I got my first Great Controversy out. Amen. And I was like, okay, well, I think today was the day. And I'm like, man, this day is going amazing. And God kept blessing me even more with these divine appointments. And I met this very sweet lady, and she is like just talking about how her daughter needed peace, how she needed peace in her life. And she told me that she was raised Mennonite, and they believe that God gives like gifts to his people. And she told me that I was a gift from God, and that sentence, I felt really blessed and also very humble that God was able to use me to bless somebody else, and that alone was such a blessing. But God, he was like, I'm not gonna stop there. And so I knocked on this one house just before we were about to go to lunch, and usually I don't mess up with my Canva, but I totally blew it on this one. I was like, here's story time, and it's a good book for your kids. And I was like, and then she's like, it's just like religious. And I was like, oh no, not that question. And I was like, I didn't know what to say. And she was like, just, yeah, I know Christian stuff, like, I get it, it's good, I believe in, like, I guess in that aspect, but religion, not part of our family. And I was like, no worries, man, that's totally understandable. I was like, before I go, I just dropped her down with the book, and with like hope and happiness. She didn't want the book, but I just told her, whatever you give, it just helps me with, helps me with my school. And she's like, it helps you with school? Okay, I'll help. I didn't really think much of it. I was just like so thankful that God was able to use me even in that moment of it wasn't very graceful, that moment of me messing up. And that in that moment, I was like, God, thank you so much for using me. Even though, like, I totally blew it in that presentation. And we were, going, it was like lunchtime. And, before we went inside to eat, people were just surrounding, Christy, and they're like, what? No way, no way. And I was like, what's the big dealio? And and then my leader was like, Grace, do you know how much you received in donation? And I was like thinking like $100, and I was like, oh, the sound of $100, like that's amazing. But then I saw, and the amount, I couldn't even believe my eyes. It was $2,000, and I was like, what? Somebody was willing to give me this amount of money to help me towards my school. And in that moment, God used that experience to help me to grow better as a person, to humble myself, to let me know that this is all God's doing, and it's not with my own effort I'm able to get these books out, or I'm able to receive these donations. So it also showed me that God truly is a living God, and for me to experience that firsthand, even if it wasn't for that donation, but just the divine appointments alone, I was just like truly, truly blessed. Like, wow, I'm serving an all powerful God. And I'm so grateful that God was able to give me this experience.